So I've got to Inverness from Aberdeen this afternoon. I jumped on one of the Inter7City HST sets and we rattled through the Grampians, and here I am in Inverness. This morning I had a short while to acquaint myself with a little bit more of the city and have a look at the docks, and also spend a little bit of time in the Maritime Museum, which you're probably looking at right now. And then once I'd had a saunter around, it was time to get to the railway station and catch my train. The Union Square complex of shops, essentially a shopping mall, very interesting in the way that it incorporates the old external part of the station to now become internal. And with the cleaned up stone, it almost has a Disney feel, that it's like, or we're in some Las Vegas hotel where there's a fake railway station. So I'll hand you over to my voiceover self and well, we'll see how it goes. My hotel for the weekend could not have been closer to Aberdeen Station, and I drew the curtains in the morning to this lovely view of the station and the Union Square shopping complex. As we walk from the station hotel across Union Square, the new entrance to Aberdeen Station rises on our right. But the work on that front door is not yet complete, so travellers must enter through the shopping centre doors and then turn right. To our right, the old northbound bay platforms are now repurposed as the new drop-off and taxi rank. There's been a station here since 1867, but this one was built between 1913 and 1916. And prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, the station saw roughly 2.8 million passengers a year. There are a number of ticket machines dotted around the building, and the ticket office itself also forms the departure boards and above the first-class lounge. There's not a whole lot of shops and eateries in the concourse, but given that it's attached to a shopping centre, this shouldn't be a problem. Our train will start its service from here, and it's now ready for boarding, so let's go through the ticket barriers and head on down. The southbound platforms serve trains down the coast to Edinburgh and Glasgow and on to London, and it's the start point of Cross Country's mega-long service all the way to Plymouth. But we are going to turn back on ourselves and walk up this platform for our Inverness train. And today it's going to be formed by a ScotRail Inter7City HST set. And of course the HST is topped and tailed by a pair of power cars. These Class 43s were built in Crewe between 1975 and 1982. As we climb aboard, these are ex-Great Western HST sets that were refurbished at Doncaster Works in 2018 to provide the flagship services between the 7 cities of Scotland, even though Dunfermline became a city in 2022 and there's now 8. Standard still has all the seats that were in place from Great Western days, although they now have this ScotRail moquette, which looks fine and very Scottish for sure. No surprises regarding the seat here, as we're on an HST. The legroom is decent and those tray tables continue to be sturdy and wear really well considering their age. The small coat hook is still there, and the luggage racks are unchanged, and at the window there's no blind or reading light. There's been no refurbishment of the power supply, there's still one shared underseat 3-pin plug. Although now there's an additional mid-coach luggage rack, which is handy for American football kit. And as we're underway, let's take a small pause to look at the route for today. So we'll head out of Aberdeen in a general northwesterly direction, through Dice, which is at Edinburgh Airport, then Kintore, Inverurie, Inch, Huntly, Keith, and then we'll come through to Elgin, getting to the coast, and then we'll swing down that coast route along by the Murray Firth, through Forres, Nairn, and into Inverness. That's a distance of 174 kilometres or 108 miles, and it will take us 2 hours and 26 minutes. Well, back in the day, these may have been Intercity 125s, but line speed limitations on this run will keep things down to 75 miles per hour or less. And as we pull out of Aberdeen, it's fitting that we pass a few oil tanks. Dice is where you could change for Aberdeen Airport, although I reckon it would be a lot easier to get the direct bus from the city centre. And as we leave Aberdeen behind, we start to track up the valley of the River Don. Kintore Station has only been open since October 2020 and was built at a cost of £15 million. And now we get one last glimpse of the River Don as we're now heading up the valley of the River Uri, from which Inverurie gets its name.
Police on 61016.
Beyond Inverurie, we pick up the main A96 trunk road and get a chance to run alongside the traffic for a bit. And we come upon our next stop, and our HST slowly inches into the station. And at the very pretty station of Inch, we pass a Class 158 bound for Aberdeen, and I must say, at this point, I'm very pleased to be on this HST. Ooh, that's a cracking signal box, don't you think? And with my legs really aching after 2 whole days of playing American football, I'm really enjoying just kicking back and watching the Scottish countryside drift by. Huntly is the historic home of the Gordon Highlanders Regiment and is now also well known for the production of shortbread biscuits.
The next stop is Keith.
We've been tracking the River Deveron since Huntly, but now we part ways as the Deveron flows north to Banff and we carry on west. And now we're approaching the tipplers' mecca of Keith. In addition to a brewery, Keith has 3 distilleries and marks the start of the Malt Whisky Trail. I think we can all take a fair guess at what's in those sheds. Cheers then. Right, let's have a quick look at the accessible toilet in this HST. Well, as you'd expect, wide entry and everything electronic, no problems there. And yeah, in really sparkling clean condition. Absolutely lovely, lots of space. Everything was in place, all the bits of equipment worked fine. A perfectly functional and well kept accessible toilet. Well done, ScotRail. There's decent provision for bikes with these carriage end storage compartments, and also even more inside the seating area. And look out for the equipment room doors for ScotRail's sense of humour. As we're arriving into Elgin, the old East Station is clearly visible. That station was closed when the branches it served were all axed in the 1960s. The station we're stopping at is on the site of Elgin West Station, but was rebuilt in 1990. And we're timetabled for quite a long layover at Elgin, so let's have a nosy around. Well, there appears to be a cafe bar here, but I don't think it's going to be running on this or many other Inter7City services these days. But through this door is the jewel in the crown of this refurbishment. Here's the first class, and it's looking fantastic. And I really love the way the ScotRail carpet matches beautifully with the chocolate brown upholstery. And how nice do those seats look. Shall we have a quick seat tour? I did ride one of these trains up from Glasgow to Aberdeen. I'm just going to cut in a little bit of video from there where we have a closer look at this first class seat. The single seats come with a massive amount of legroom and a really lovely big useful table. And down to the side there's a 3-pin plug and a couple of USB ports. Right, back to Elgin. I had plenty of time and so had a good chat with the driver as we waited, but it looks like he's headed back to the cab now, so I'd better get back on too. Well, let's walk back through first class and talk about money. So, bought just the day before, my standard single cost me £21.95 or €24.90, and that included my 1/3 railcard discount, so it was pretty expensive, I think. But as I edit the video, I can see that advance standard tickets on this line without a discount can be purchased for £9.80, so it definitely pays to book early on this line, but I think having looked at it, I'd fancy first class next time. Elgin has marked the northernmost point of our journey this afternoon, so we're swinging round in a southwesterly direction for Forres, Nairn and eventually Inverness. Forres is another town on the line that has had a new station as part of the Aberdeen to Inverness infrastructure improvement project. And here we are at Nairn, and after so many rebuilt stations, it's nice to see one that is more original. And this one was built by the Highland Railway Company in 1886, and may I say, what a good job they did.
The next stop is Inverness.
The lights begin to fade, but in the dim distance we start to get a little view of the Moray Firth, which means Inverness isn't too far away now. There's going to be a new station at Inverness Airport, and it was due to open in late 2022, but the new estimate is for early 2023. Once past the airport we get a lovely run along the banks of the Moray Firth. And it's no surprise now we're in the Highlands that the first thing we see at Inverness Station is a snowplough. Well, that was a lovely run between Aberdeen and Inverness, and the Inter7City sets are really comfortable for this kind of journey. My only complaint, the cost, but that's probably down to me for not booking far enough in advance. And as we come into Inverness, the Caledonian Sleeper is already berthed up, ready for me to jump on it to go back to London later on in the day, and you can see that in one of my other videos. So now we're in Inverness, I have a few hours to investigate what is one of Scotland's 7, now 8 cities, before I can catch that sleeper train back down to London. And I hope you've enjoyed this little run from Aberdeen to Inverness on the Inter7City HST. And if you've enjoyed it, then give it a like and consider subscribing to the channel as I release a new video every Friday. In the meantime, from Inverness on the banks of the River Ness, it's goodbye and thank you for watching.